blocked that nomination because Bill was pro-choice, pro-gay rights, and pro-medical marijuana in 1997. So both Bill Weld and myself, we were not wallflowers as governors of our respective states. I have always said that if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. It's really an easy way to live your life. And I think that the one unforgivable in life is hypocrisy. Saying one thing and doing another. Bill Weld and I are not hypocrites. Also, in life, with 100% certainty, there was going to be an Aleppo Day. With 100% certainty, there will be another Aleppo Day. It's how we deal with failure that ultimately determines success. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. I mean, just plan on it. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Are you going to crawl up in a ball, declare yourself a victim, give up, or, you know what, get a smile on your face, fight back, get out of bed the next day and keep after it. Well, that's who I am. That's who Bill Weld is. I have some advice for everybody here in this room today. And the advice is actually worth what you're paying for it, which was nothing. But my advice is that take whatever it is you know. Take whatever it is that you do and apply it entrepreneurially. There'll never be a bigger reward. Never. And as difficult as it will be to do that tomorrow, it'll never be easier than doing it tomorrow. Create your own job. Create jobs for others. And government can play a role in this, making it easier to do that, to make that happen. I really believe, and we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg, I really do believe that the model of the future is the sharing economy. It's Uber, it's Airbnb. I think it's Uber everything. I mean, it's going to be Uber electrician, Uber plumber, Uber doctor, Uber accountant, where the middleman gets eliminated so that you can have you as the person providing the services can provide those services directly to the end user. End user pays less money, you make more money. Really, it is the model of the future. And the world really wants to come and visit in Seattle. So Airbnb, it's just an incredible way for all of us to make money in this sharing economy. And again, we've just seen the tip of the iceberg with RVs or whatever the stuff is that we have that doesn't get used, that we might be able to share with others and actually make a little bit of money, benefiting everybody all around. I was talking to a young woman in Baltimore who got her PhD in science. And she said, I have these horrible student debts, she said, but I figured out a way to pay back these student debts, and it was Airbnb. That I was able to rent out. I'm able to rent out my place. I'm making money. I'm going to pay back my student debts. Well, the city of Baltimore stepped in and said, no more Airbnb. So the government does step in. Crony capitalism. That's crony capitalism, where the government injects itself into the economy and picks winners and losers. So I really think that what we're all looking for is certainty when it comes to government. And when it comes to certainty, and Bill Weld and myself go, taxes are not going to go up. They're only going to go down. regulations. Look, there's common sense regulations. There are. But with regard to regulations that aren't so common sense, that really get in the way, that cause all of us to have to spend more time and more money complying with the government, count on certainty that those things will not get worse, that they'll only get better. And there are three scenarios in this upcoming election. The three scenarios are: we elect Trump, we elect Clinton. Does anybody think that the polarity that exists in Congress is going to get any better? There's no way. It's going to be worse than ever. They really do want to kill one another. So along comes third scenario. Big 6-lane highway down the middle. Bill Weld, Gary Johnson, libertarians, fiscally conservative, socially inclusive, questioning our military interventions, our support of regime change, free market guys, hiring libertarians, hiring Republicans, hiring Democrats. Look, they're not going to have a dog in the fight politically. And calling out both sides to come to the middle to actually accomplish things for America. Doesn't that third scenario actually have the opportunity of maybe... Common sense, libertarians, common sense. Keep government out of my bedroom. Keep government out of my pocketbook. Fiscally conservative. Spending. Balanced budget. Why balance the budget? I mean, what's important about balancing the budget? What's important to balancing the budget is young people. Look, my generation's going to get health care, my generation's going to get retirement, and young people are going to have to pay for that. That's an equation that just doesn't work. It's not an option to do nothing regarding these programs. So balancing the federal budget is about the future of this country and ensuring that all of us have this opportunity to make. The budget unless you're going to address the entitlements, Medicaid and Medicare. And to address Medicaid and Medicare, look, there has to be reform. And can there be reform, and can there still be a healthcare safety net? Absolutely, but to not do it is to say that future generations are not going to have this. It's not an option to do nothing. And then with regard to Social Security, I mean, there are some very practical steps that can be taken that can ensure Social Security will be around, because 2030, it's insolvent. I mean, this whole system is headed to bankruptcy. So Social Security, raising the retirement age, you could have a very fair means testing. These are things that, practically speaking, are small steps, but it's steps that will ensure that these programs will be around. Immigration. We should be embracing immigration. We are... The Wharton School of Business, about 3 weeks ago in the Wall Street Journal, came out with a study. Let's see, Wharton School of Business, that's where Trump graduated from college, right? So Wharton School of Business did an analysis of restricting immigration, which would have a negative impact on our economy, allowing for an increase in high-skilled immigrants to come into this country. That would have a positive, minimal impact on the economy, or increasing immigration, which would have a big positive impact on our economy. So when Donald Trump talks about deporting 11 million undocumented workers, that its basis is in unfact. It's based on untruth. We should make it as easy as possible for somebody that wants to come into this country and work to be able to get a work visa. And a work visa should entail a background check and a social security card so that applicable taxes get paid. What is not being said is because government has quotas in place, it's impossible to get a work visa. So it's impossible to get a work visa, and yet jobs exist just over the border that U.S. citizens don't want. Well, you or I would be doing the same things to take care of our families. And building a wall across the border is just nuts. And let me tell you that the president of Mexico is going to be standing on the other side of that wall if it gets built, and they are constantly going to proclaim, "Take this wall down, the United States. This is just wrong." Reminiscent of the Berlin Wall. And guess what? The Mexican president is going to be on the right side of history. And if we ever build that wall, at some point we're going to have to tear it down because of what it represents. I think that most people in this country associate. First of all, I think we all understand that crony capitalism is a horrible thing. Crony capitalism is when government interjects itself into the economy, where government picks winners and losers. That's a bad thing. But I think most of the country associates free market and crony capitalism as one and the same, when in fact they are opposites. Free market is equal opportunity. Free market is devoid of government, is devoid of pay to play. I believe in term limits. I really think that term limits is a silver bullet. Politicians would do the right thing as opposed to whatever it takes to get reelected. And if term limits were in place, I believe we would not have a $20 trillion debt today. Healthcare, free markets. I mean, what is the solution to healthcare in this country? Well, it would be a free market approach to healthcare. And by the way, healthcare in this country is as far removed from free market as it possibly can be. My insurance premiums have quadrupled. I have not seen a doctor now for 2 days because I had to see a doctor to get a physical to actually go up against what else I'm running against right now. But prior to that, it had been about 2.5 years since I've been to a doctor. But look, in a free market approach to healthcare, we would not have insurance to cover ourselves for ongoing medical need. We would have insurance to cover ourselves for catastrophic injury and illness, and we would pay as you go in a system that would be very competitive, and that I'm going to guess would cost about 1/5 of what it currently costs. In a free market approach to healthcare, you'd have advertised pricing, you'd have advertised outcomes. Right now, when we go to the doctor, we have no idea what it's going to cost. The person at the desk has no idea what you're going to get charged. And when you get the bill, you know that nobody's going to pay what's on the bill. So if we had a genuine free market approach to healthcare, we would have stitches are us. We'd have gallbladders are us. We would. It would really be. We would be dealing, if we had a free market approach to healthcare, we would be dealing with symptoms. Symptoms that don't end up getting treated by the medical system as end results. That, you know what, you've got gas. Well, you've got gas for a reason. You're eating the wrong food. You should look at the food that you're eating. But what we do is we mask the systems, the symptoms, and then we end up with an end result that ends up to be catastrophic. Exercise, diet, Eastern medicine that that affords so much relief and is really. This is what would happen though if we had a free market approach to healthcare. Education. As governor of New Mexico, I was more outspoken than any governor in the country regarding school choice, believing that we need to bring competition to public education. To me, unleashing 1 million educational entrepreneurs on the system would create so much opportunity, would create so much innovation that we would just be taken aback by it. So when it comes to education, 50 states should engage in this competition over best practice, and there would be best practice. There would be fabulous success that would get emulated by other states. So very simply, what should the federal government do when it comes to education? It would be to get out of the educational business completely. It's a dollars and cents issue. Washington State sends Washington 13 cents. And then Washington State gets back 11 cents. How does that work? That's that bureaucratic wash and dry cycle in Washington that somehow they've taken away 2 cents. And then they give Washington State 11 cents, and then they tell Washington State that to get your 11 cents back, you have to do A, B, C, and D. Well, to do A, B, C, and D, it costs 15 cents. Why not leave the 6 cents in Washington State's hands from the very beginning to determine outcomes in Washington State? So this is the Washington formula. I mean, it applies in other areas also. So looking at a couple of departments to potentially just plain eliminate. Housing and urban development. That is... Anybody know what they do? Well, of course not, because they really don't do anything. Homeland Security. What is that all about? Department of Education. Department of Education. Commerce. Isn't that really crony capitalism? All of you belong in Congress, all right? Send us the legislation. And socially inclusive. Look, socially inclusive. Always come down on the side of personal choice. Shouldn't you and I be able to decide in our own lives decisions? Always be able to make decisions. And of course, personal choice, as long as those personal choices don't put other people in harm's way, but always come down on the side of personal choice. So supporting marriage equality, that it is constitutionally guaranteed. On the issue of abortion, how can there be a more difficult decision in anyone's life? And when I say anyone's life, the woman involved, who should be making the decision on abortion other than the woman involved? Washington State, you rock, you legalized marijuana, yes! Incarceration rate of any country in the world. And I refuse to believe that we are any less law-abiding in this country than any other country. There are tens of millions of Americans who are convicted felons that, but for our drug laws, would otherwise be tax-paying, law-abiding citizens. Let's bring an end to the war on drugs. Say this, all right? All lives matter, all right? But black lives matter, and here's why. Blacks are being shot at the rate of 6 times that if you are white. Black lives matter because if you are of color and you get arrested on drug-related crime, 4 times more likelihood that you'll end up behind bars than if you are white. And if you are white and they take you out of your car, they don't start shoving you around if you're white. But if you're black, they start shoving you around, and it leads to handcuffs and it leads to arrest. So we do have issues in this country. and we have issues regarding discrimination. But you know what? We're going to deal with this. We're going to be aware, and we've got to be aware. And my head has been in the sand on this issue. I think all of our heads have been in the sand. Bill Weldon and myself absolutely support the Second Amendment. But we need to be open to a discussion on how we keep guns out of the hands of the mentally ill. We've got to be open to that discussion and debate. And we also need to be open on a discussion and a debate on how we keep guns out of the hands of would-be terrorists. As President of the United States, I would love to know what transpired between the FBI and the shooter in Orlando, given the fact that they had interviewed him a couple of times. Obviously, the system worked up to a certain point, but then it broke down. I'll bet the FBI has some real ideas about how to go forward. I really loved being governor of New Mexico. I loved being at the epicenter of public policy. I changed my mind on various issues. One of the issues that I changed my mind on was the death penalty. I really believed in the death penalty. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. But come to find out, it is flawed public policy. Come to find out, there may be a 4% error rate in the death penalty. I don't want to put one innocent person to death to punish 999 that are guilty. Much less put 4 to death to punish 96 that are guilty. In the mid-90s, Governor Ryan of Illinois ordered a review of everyone on death row, 36 inmates. Over 20 of them were released because they were categorically proven to be innocent because of DNA testing. When you realize that it costs more money to put a person to death, to put them on death row, than it does to lock them up for the rest of their lives, and the reason it costs more to put them on death row is because of the appeals and the attorney fees that go along with that. But then when you find out an attorney does get someone off who is categorically innocent, that becomes a priceless commodity that attorney has provided. Military, Aleppo. Look, at the epicenter of Aleppo, and by the way, the active military personnel, there have been 2 polls in the last 6 weeks among active military personnel on whom they favor to be President of the United States. I've won that poll. What I've been saying, which is stop the support of regime change. Let's just look at Aleppo for a second. You got Aleppo at the epicenter of what is happening in Syria. You have Assad's forces on the east, the regime on the south, or on the west. You've got the Free Syrian Army, which we support, but they're allied with the Islamists that we don't support, but they fight next to one another. We arm the Free Syrian Army, but the Free Syrian Army gets beaten and the arms end up in the hands of the Islamists. And then to the north you've got Raqqa, which is ISIS. We are supporting the Kurds against ISIS, but the Kurds are sideways to our allies in Turkey, which aren't the allies that they used to be because of our intervention, because of our support of regime change in Iraq. You can't make this up. And then with Bush, we were actually paying Assad to fight the Islamists, to fight ISIS, and that ISIS was somehow created as a void, and that Saddam's henchmen actually went to Raqqa and organized them. Can't make this up. Let's stop with our support of regime change. When we are attacked, we should attack back. I was was against going into Iraq at the beginning. I said we have the military surveillance capability to see Iraq roll out any weapons of mass destruction. If they do that, we can deal with it. Afghanistan, on the other hand, I supported Afghanistan. Going into Afghanistan, we were attacked, we were attacking back. It was Al-Qaeda, it was Osama bin Laden. But after we were in Afghanistan for 7 months in 2003, we wiped out Al-Qaeda. We should have gotten out of Afghanistan in 2003. And we should get out of Afghanistan tomorrow. And for all the negative consequences that will exist by getting out of Afghanistan tomorrow, guess what? Those same consequences are going to exist if 20 years from now we get out of Afghanistan, or for some, I guess we're going to be there forever. No. I'm going to make a pledge getting elected President of the United States. I'm going to be the most frugal president that you have ever elected. Lead by example. I can imagine the President of the United States flying into Seattle. You have to all have experienced the shutdown of all the freeways. Come on, that's not going to be me as President of the United States. We're intending to be good stewards of this office. We're not looking to get elected king or dictator, and that is the pledge. Thank you all very, very much.
And donate again.
See ya, thanks.
Donate, sign up to volunteer.